are having today a beautiful, beautiful guest and very modest guest, and she's a baroness. I don't know, baroness from England, are all of them this aristocratic, but Susan Greenfield for me is very aristocrat. She's CEO and founder at Neurobio Limited, and she has been awarded, listen to that, 32 honorary degrees, awards from British and foreign universities. I cannot imagine. 32. It's like a person who knows about the brain almost all. Happy to see you.
It's a great pleasure to be here, and thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you so much. My first question to you, since you know a lot, dear Susan, about brain, what do you recommend to people? How many hours we can be connected? How many hours we can be in social media if it leads to anxiety, if it leads to us being nervous, if it leads to us compare us with others? Do you have any idea from scientific point of view how many hours we can be on the phone a day?
Sure. Well, I think the crucial issue is to remember that every hour you're in front of a screen, it's an hour not sitting with your friends. It's an hour not having a walk outside. It's an hour not playing sport. So the whole question is in the context of what else you are doing and how you can make the screen actually be a means to an end rather than an end in itself. And quite often, I think nowadays, people live a screen life and they're having that as their final goal, is to have lots of friends or to show yourself as a kind of brand on the media, when really it should be helping you with your real life in the real world, where you have all five senses engaged and you're living in 3 dimensions. I think we learned this because of the COVID pandemic, particularly, where everyone really got fed up with Zoom parties, which are almost a paradox in terms. And everyone, as soon as it was possible in many countries to be able to mix with each other, everyone did that so frenetically, because human beings are meant to interact with each other in a personal way, not through a screen. So in answer to your question, I think, of course, we all use, to greater or lesser extents, we use screen technologies because we need this for our work, we need it for ease of communication, for business, across time zones and so on. But I think balancing that, the important things are what you do outside of the screen. For example, taking lots of physical exercise, having food together. The word companion is with bread, so sharing food together as human beings have done forever. If you have kids, reading them stories so they can start to use their imagination rather than have images from a screen. Yourself reading books rather than having video games, because when you read a book, you're actually going to an inner world that no one else can share. And it fascinates me how when you read a book, your imagination makes something really real, even though it's not like a photograph, it's some real living scenario in front of you. And you see the minds of other people, how they thought or how they think, whether they're fiction or fact, whether they lived in the past or live in other countries. None of that can come through a screen. Can you imagine Jane Austen, for example, as a video game? That would be almost impossible. So I think it's, of course, the screen, there's no single one size fits all for how much people need it or how they benefit from it. But I think what we need to be mindful of is what we're doing with the rest of the time, and indeed why we are using the screen in the first place. Is it a means to an end, as it should be, or is it a rather sad substitute for living in the real world?
It's fair enough. It's absolutely. But what about, let's say, the kids? I noticed that parents now are giving the screen and the phones at the age of 5, 6. What is your recommendation? Should we wait till 10 or 11, or at what age should start?
Well, indeed, the World Health Organization and the American College of Pediatrics are all recommending that very young children shouldn't have screen exposures at all, not least because their little eyes are still getting fully developed and so on. So there's a physical reason why kids shouldn't engage completely with the screen. Also, young children won't learn very basic social skills, such as looking someone in the eye, reading body language, how to touch people and when to touch them when you're communicating. All these are very important social skills for interacting. And if you don't learn those things, you'll never be good at them, which means they'll be even more aversive and difficult to do. So you'll resort even more to the screen. The other issue is for young children as well, to develop motor skills. Small kids now, some of them don't know how to jump or skip or hold a pen or a pencil in their hands. So again, the human brain is only good at what it rehearses. And if you don't rehearse things, then it's going to be very difficult for you. So I think especially for young children, one has to be very careful. And I feel very sad sometimes when I see in supermarkets kids with iPads. And I think parents use them a lot as kind of babysitters to keep them quiet. And we do know that children get particularly addicted to it. So there's films of kids screaming and screaming if they have the iPad taken away in a way that they wouldn't if just ordinary toys were taken away. So there is a very sad reason to think that they might be getting addicted in a way that almost drug addiction, for that. It's electronic heroin, as someone once called it.
Electronic heroin. I noticed recently, I'm now at the moment in Kazakhstan because our company is distributor of Renault. This is French automobile company, and I spend a lot of time here. And I noticed a small boy at the age of 4 or 5 in front of the French cafe, Paul, was hitting his mother heavily because she didn't give him iPhone. And since I'm interested in conflict resolution, in movies, in programs, I think how to solve problems.
Yeah.
I was watching him. He was hitting her 5 minutes very strongly. And then she was afraid how people will react, and she gave the phone to him. Just have it, just take it, as if he was a crocodile. Just take it and not scream in public.
Well, that's a very bad lesson to learn. So obviously the kid is learning that if he screams, he gets what he wants. That's a very bad lesson to learn. But the other issue is we think about how these very young children, who unlike us have grown up surrounded and saturated with this technology. Some people think they're going to be like little robots. I say no. What they're going to be like are perpetual 3-year-olds, because the kind of behavior, the profile that will happen if you don't mix with real people in the real world, I think is to be very emotionally volatile. That is to say, slightly aggressive, a rather unstable sense of self, very poor interactive skills with other people, needing things immediately and having no sense of a long attention span. And all this will be like, I said, perpetual 3-year-old, rather than someone who has a sense of a past, a present, and a future, who is able to plan ahead and wait for things and to think of consequences, and to use the past to inform the present, to relate previous experiences. All of this comes from living a life with a past, a present, and a future. If you just live in the present all the time, that's what your brain will adapt to, just living in the present. And there's a really interesting experiment done some time ago now, but published in the very prestigious journal Science, where very cheap experiment. They just got a load of students and asked them to sit still for 10 minutes with no mobiles. And they found that a lot of them, this is published by Wilson, a man called Wilson in 2014, a lot of them ended up giving themselves electric shocks because even though it was painful, they had to have some stimulation. They couldn't bear to be alone with their thoughts. Can you imagine that? Hello? You're still there? Hi, can you hear me? Hello? Hi.
Hi,
Oh,
there was some misconnection, so welcome back.
I was just emailing you saying I'm staying online. Should I?
Yes,
Should I do?
something happened, and we were speaking about that it's not good to live in the world of the computers.
Living in a
the
present
phones.
moment. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
for the kids, it's very impossible to have past, future,
Yeah.
and present,
yeah.
all three.
Because I think what the screen does is it makes you live in the present. You have immediate stimulation, immediate input. You respond to things. They have very strong stimulation. It's lots, especially video games, for example. By definition, the colors are bright. The things, there's lots of action. There's lots of movement. Whereas when you read a book, you have a past, a present, and a future, a beginning, a middle, and an end. Yeah, and I think that linearity of a beginning, a middle, and an end, a past, a present, and future, is something that you only have as you get older. Small children don't have it. Animals live in the present moment, but we have the privilege of, in having our present moment, having a past and a future either side of it, so that we can see it more as a journey, more as a story. Yeah, and I think that's what gives us a sense of continuity, a sense of identity. So when you're a little kid in the past, that magic invitation, let's make up a game, let's make up a game, and this is the magic goblet, and this is the special, and anything is possible, anything, you know.
Maybe that's why Harry Potter is that popular, because
Well,
it gives chance for imagination.
exactly. And when you read,
Voldemort,
yeah,
you can imagine
yeah,
who these people
yeah,
are.
yeah. So someone said, imagination should not be used to escape reality, to create it. You know, so you're actually creating your own life story. And the exciting thing is when you read a story or a book, or when you make up your own game, you're inventing a little identity, you're inventing a little life story, you know, when you make up a game. And that gives you, that rehearses you for real life, so that you have this inner world that's just yours, that no one else necessarily can hack into, because it's yours. And that gives you a resilience and a strength. And if you're constantly sharing all the time, so you have no barriers and everyone knows everything, and you're being driven by some web designers, you know, then I think you have a more fragile.
Even Russian writers and Dostoevsky and Tolstoy and Chekhov, they were saying that love and private life, it should be secret. You
Exactly.
should overexpose that. This is your world.
Yeah, it's not your world. So you have a public life, and you have a private life, and you have a secret life. And that secret life is yours, and that's your identity. Now, if you've given that away or shared it with everyone else and downloaded it, you are very vulnerable. And I think you don't have much resilience. And what I'm very interested in is the rise of tattoos. You know, in the past, tattoos have been around for a long, long time.
Yes.
So why only over the last 5 or 10 years do people? And my view, just anecdotal, is a tattoo is permanent. Yeah, it's permanent, and it's on your skin and no one else's skin. And it's sad in a way that perhaps it's the one thing that people have that's theirs, that is not shared and can't be downloaded, and it's permanent. And in this world of Instagram and very fast moving things that are constantly being replaced and changed, a tattoo is there, you know, and its whole value is the fact that it's there for the rest of your life, you know. And it's just an idea, but it's interesting that tattoos have been around for a long, long time.
Yes,
but only now.
All people will be tattooed. It's
increasing. I'm not tattooed. I'm not going to be tattooed ever.
Me also not. We are not yet.
No, we're the non-tattooed women. Yeah, exactly.
You see, even in Islam, it's not allowed to make a picture of somebody, you know. And my final question to you, Susan, about being a baroness, having a title, and being able not to work at all, as I think. Why you are so hardworking? You are moving around.
I think
studying as if you are a student. What is
well, let me explain.
You?
In England, being a baroness doesn't mean to say you don't have to work. That's the first thing. Second, I wasn't born like this. My parents weren't rich or aristocratic. I was born from a very modest background. And what happened was 22 years ago, I was given it. Yeah, it was a sort of acknowledgement of what I had done to sit in the House of Lords. So it's not as if I was just born this way. You know, there's still some people, the so-called hereditaries, that are like that. But on the whole, in the UK, if you are sitting in the House of Lords, it's because you've earned it and because you've worked hard. Yeah, not because your father was who your father was. Yeah, and even if I was rich, which I'm certainly not. for me, work it's not like work. It's what you do. You know, it's your identity. It's someone once said, love what you do and you'll never have to work again. I'm sure you're the same.
My
Love what
final
you do and you'll
question
never have
to
to work
you,
because what you do
Susan, is about your dream. As a person who is very successful, as a researcher, as a person who's appreciated,
Yeah.
which is also great.
Well,
But as a woman, as a baroness, as a person who knows about brain all, what's your dream?
Oh, I can tell you exactly my dream. It's to develop an effective treatment for Alzheimer's disease. That's what I'm working on. If I could do that, if before I go and play my harp upstairs, if before then I had felt that I'd developed a treatment that actually, because this is one of the biggest unmet needs of our time, you know, and it is a tragedy. It's the most spiteful, horrible condition where, you know, someone you love doesn't recognize you anymore. Imagine what that must do. Yeah. So it's not just having a horrible disease like cancer or heart disease. It's actually destroying, you know, relationships and lifestyles and memories. You know, you can't look and reminisce over your grandchildren anymore. Imagine. So if I could, in some small way, help with that and help have an effective treatment, which there isn't at the moment, that would be my biggest dream. Yeah.
Susan, let your dream come true.
Yeah.
Normally, what people dream and wish at Hidden Hero comes true because you save the life of families, of old people who don't want to be old. At the age when you're old, you want to know who is that taking care of me, who is looking in my eyes. This is the most precious days. And imagine if you can do it, it will be happiness and relief to many, many people around the world. It doesn't matter. Are they in Russia, Ukraine, Iran, Pakistan, USA, England? It doesn't matter.
Well, someone said the only difference between a vision and a delusion is whether you have people working with you or not, if people believe in you. So let's hope it's the former. Yeah.
Absolutely. We believe in you. We wish you all the best. Thank you for your enormous positive energy and for you being very modest.
Well, thank you for this.